Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is My Neighbor Totoro. Man, I always messed it up. It's from 1988, so it's older than Jason and I by
Yeah,
just a smidge.
yeah,
But still want to give everyone spoiler warning.
and came out the same year as Akira. So like that's
Yeah,
so weird.
yeah.
It's like you have two distinct movies, uh,
On
but
opposite sides of the spectrum for sure.
opposite sides of the spectrum. I would say different art styles too, right? Like they're
Yeah,
fairly distinct art styles. I would say.
this art or the art style in this reminded me of like Pokemon almost.
Yeah. Okay. That so like that's with the whole Totoro like figure or like
Look like
creature.
Snorlax. Yeah.
Yeah, Snorlax or different things, and so it's like I kind of like was thinking, yeah, that same thing where it's like Pokemon kind of like got some inspiration from this or
Yeah.
whatever. I kind of said that like it looked like animation on top of a Bob Ross painting, but I think it was because I was watching like
Mm,
Bob Ross like just a couple of days before,
yeah.
and so it just but the paintings were like very swooshy and everything, and
Yeah.
like with all the trees,
There's
so
so much movement.
yeah, so I enjoyed. It's stark differences from Akira's sort of like
Yeah.
more mature kind of like blood and everything, cyberpunk and stuff. This one,
Gore and just dead dogs.
right?
Like, but
But
this
I
one,
let me ask you this. Right? Let me
yeah,
ask
yeah,
you
go
this.
ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming what I'm assuming you watched but we watched the Japanese audio with the subtitles.
Oh, okay.
Did
I did
What'd
not
you
do that.
watch
I watched the English version.
with the
So the
two
Disney from,
fannings?
yes. So that's what I was gonna touch on right now was
Okay.
the intro was way too long. It was
But I
nice. It
was
was
like kind of
colorful.
like I was there and my foot was moving. I was like, this is kind of like a
No, but that's when I instantly got that Pokemon vibe. It was like
true.
it felt like an intro to a Pokemon game, or like the ending of it, the triumphant ending. But when I saw the fanning names on it, like I knew this movie wasn't originally in English, but to see those two names, it kind of took me back. Like, oh,
Patty looked it up.
okay,
She was like, how's that even possible? But I
it
was
was
like,
oh
maybe they
five.
did it afterwards.
Yeah, they did it. Disney did it in '05. I ended up looking.
Okay, so Disney did it.
Hmm.
Disney kind of like took the animation or whatever and said that we're gonna dub
Like
over it
dubbed
with
it. Yeah.
with the fannings. Okay, I did go back and watch a little bit of
Hmm.
because on HBO Max and that's or like Max is what they're called now. I
Yeah.
couldn't care less. Um, they have both versions, and
Oh, okay.
Patty's like very like I started up the original one or like the
Hmm.
English one, and so and then Patty was like we were kind of talking about the Dakota Fanny thing. I was like I don't even know how that's even possible,
Yeah.
but then Patty was like, do they have it in the Japanese audio? And I was like, I'm pretty sure they do. So we looked, and then so we ended up watching in that. So we watched
Okay.
the entire movie in the Japanese audio, but then
Yeah.
I went back and watched sort of the beginning portions of it to kind of
Hmm.
hear the dad's voice, the two
Yeah.
girls, and then the grandma or the nanny's voice.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, grandma.
yeah. So just to kind of see as to like, all right, is there like a difference in terms of like my absorption of the story? Like, did it
Hmm.
take me out of the story and stuff? And I don't know. I kind of saw them as one and the same. If I would have watched the
Okay.
first one, I would have not noticed the difference probably from the
Yeah.
English one. Uh, but I would recommend watching the Japanese because I feel like you feel more of the emotion and the
Mm,
because their language I think kind of like sends off more of the emotion from what the story is telling.
okay. Yeah, I think I would have had a different outlook if I would have watched the original version. Because
I think so.
as I was watching it, I think if I didn't see the Fannings' names, I think I would have looked at it differently. But as I was watching it, as different things happened to the two girls, my mind went straight to War of the Worlds with Dakota Fanning when she's just screaming every 2 seconds. Because there was a lot of like screaming of the little girls as they're like playing or doing some stuff they shouldn't be doing. So my brain went straight to that, like, okay, this reminds me of War of the Worlds, and there's way too much screaming by Dakota Fanning.
Both fans basically.
Yeah.
yeah, Yeah, and I think towards the end of this, I'll say I would recommend the Japanese version,
Okay.
or like the original audio with the subtitles. I feel like this like last month and this month have been like a lot of things that we have to read with
Yeah.
subtitles. I ended up watching Dragon Ball. Started watching Dragon Ball after this,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna watch the dub. I want to make it easy and just like not have to read something.
But that's why I watched the English version because I'm like, we did a whole month and I had to read the screen. Like, let me just take it easy this time.
Yeah, but overall, like, how'd you like the movie?
I liked it. Like, I know before we start recording, we talked about our ratings being drastically different. I haven't seen yours yet, and we'll touch on it later. But the movie I really enjoyed, it was the fact that I allowed myself to get into the mindset of like, okay, these two kids, like they're kids, but these two kids are screaming like way too much, way too much of that,
Mm,
and that took away my enjoyment of the actual movie. But because I enjoyed that, I enjoyed like this family moving into a home. No idea why they didn't actually look at the home and walk the home before they bought it,
right.
because there's freaking gremlins and all kinds of stuff in the house. But outside of that, I enjoyed it. Like the interaction with the gremlins and the Totoro. That was fun.
I totally thought there was gonna be more Totoro, like more of that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
interaction in the movie. It was like what, like
Towards
20,
the
30
end.
minutes? Yeah,
Yeah.
like into the movie, you first see what they are and everything.
Hmm.
And from the general sense, do you get like do you understand that there's just their imaginations
I think it was like
kind of going
imaginary
wild,
friends. Yeah,
right?
that's how it felt. It was like imaginary friends because they're like in a new place. They don't really have friends around or people to hang out with, and they somehow created this imaginary or these imaginary characters that
And
they
the
could
young
spend time
one,
with.
May, had originally drawn them, right?
Mm,
Didn't they say like, oh, this is your character from like a book that she like drew?
yeah,
So it's like I'm assuming it's a shared imagination where it's like the young one imagined this, but then the older sister kind of like latched onto it
yeah,
and confirmed the imagination with them. Um, but yeah, it's like 20, 30 minutes into it, you kind of have like a little like tidbit of what they look like, the little
yeah,
small one and stuff, and then
yeah.
the gigantic
He
ones.
disappears real quick.
Yeah, but and then it's like you make that connection because like a lot of the interactions with the Totoros, there's like that wind kind of going
Hmm.
with it.
It was like whimsical.
So,
Yeah.
but then also you kind of make that connection when the older sister was picking up the sticks for the fire, and so
Oh, and
that
then the
was
wind
the
came and just took it
Totoros
out.
probably doing something, or like that
Yeah.
cat bus
That
was
cat
kind of
bus was
running
cool as
around.
hell. That was actually my favorite character in the movie. I love that cat bus.
I was like, man, this is like a psychedelic kind of like Alice in Wonderland Magic School Bus type of deal.
Honestly, that's exactly how it felt. The cat just
But
grows like a bigger doorway for people to walk
right.
into. Like that was crazy.
But I like the whimsy. I kind of like
Hmm.
what did I say? I kind of put I said I would put this movie up against any Pixar Disney movie that we've seen in a or like America has produced and stuff
Hmm.
because of like how magical and whimsical it is, and there's like this like, is it magic or is it just like someone's imagination?
Yeah,
Because like Toy Story, that's basically
that's
Andy's
imagination.
imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but it also kind of feeds into where like what you ask that question, what do my toys do when I'm gone from the
Hmm.
house and stuff?
The same thing you
And
asked about your pets too.
yeah, like my pet's over here just sleeping right now, but like when we leave, she wanders around.
Uh-huh. Like, oh, this is my house now.
but but like with these Totoros, you're like, all right, like most children had imaginary friends or drew
Hmm.
things too. Even if you didn't have imaginary friend, you drew characters that kind of came from your mind.
Yeah.
So it almost kind of confirms like the childlike like observation of the world.
Yeah.
And even though they have like this like bad thing that's kind of going on where their mother's sick in all this, I totally thought one of them was gonna die like the whole time.
So that's what plays into my rating was like you watch so many movies outside of just children's movies, but so many movies with parents, and it's like, oh well, here's the father or here's the mother, the other parent's sick, and it's like, oh, the parents got to pass away, and then this one it kind of just glazed over the fact that the mother just is still in the hospital and she potentially saw the kids hanging out in a tree with Totoro, and then the movie ends.
I know I kind of find that as nice because like nowadays we do have very complex emotions being told or talked about in animated movies
Mm,
where you kind of almost expect someone's gonna die
yeah,
or someone's gonna go away for forever or
extended
whatever.
period of time.
Yeah, so it's like this. You kind of assume, and it's almost like, is it because our lives we've seen so many movies that like, oh,
Yeah,
one of the parent dies or something has to happen that's like very tragic and everything. Like this Totoro has to come and like take care
protect
of them
them.
and
Yeah,
soothe them and everything. But no, it's just more so. It's like, yeah, they have a mother that's sick and the dad's like trying to like figure it out to like
yeah.
make the household while the mom's sick.
But even the kids
Where
thought the mom passed away. Like when that letter came in,
oh yeah,
and like
man,
the kids
but
instantly went to like depression.
that's exactly what a kid's mind would go
Yeah,
to too, where it's like
and they didn't have cell phones or anything. Like
no cell
that was
phones
a
and a
bad
run like
situation. Their dad was gone at work, and it's like,
yeah.
okay, he can't call me to tell me, hey, I'm going to the hospital. He's just gone.
We remember it's like we're old enough to remember the times that we didn't walk around with a cell phone inside our
Yeah,
pocket and we weren't always connected to somebody. So
it
when
was a
something did
radical time,
happen,
man.
you either figured it out way after it happened or
Hmm.
you were figuring out at the moment, but you couldn't tell anybody else afterwards.
Yeah. It's always something you shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I got to get through this and not die so
You're
I can
like,
at least get home and say, I'm safe.
but then I'm gonna call my friends afterwards
Exactly, yeah.
when I get
You're
home.
never going to believe what happened.
So it's like this, like yeah, you see like the like I think this plays like really into like it like how children kind of like I think it's very like approachable for all children too. Like
Hmm.
I think even children that grow up in other countries and stuff will kind of understand like the aspect of this kind of even though like most of us American people don't grow up in like farms. There's some individuals that do,
Yeah.
but the majority of us grow up in cities and stuff. We kind of still can place the same
You still have
behaviors
that
and
same
memories and
understanding.
stuff. You can
Yeah.
kind of still understand it. I enjoyed it a lot. I was like moving around. I was eating I was eating my gummy worms while I was, and so it's like I probably had too much sugar when I was like, and then I tried to go to bed. I was like, I can't go to
just just amped up.
bed. Yeah, but I enjoyed it a lot in terms of like of everything, and but in terms of I'm trying to think of like what is a negative. Like what
Hmm.
you said like the beginning was kind of long and stuff.
Yeah, like this is one of the ones I went into it. No, I didn't go into it. As I was watching it, I got into the wrong mindset. So I wasn't watching it as like, okay, let me enjoy this from a childlike state of mind. I was hypercritical of the parenting and then, and then the actions of the kids. And I shouldn't have been. Like if I since we're talking about and recording this, like if I take that portion out of it, this movie's like a 3.5 or 4
Mhm.
for sure. Because I enjoyed the childlike imagination, the kids just having fun. They're trying to get to know their new home. They're interacting with their new home. They're facing fears, like the whole gremlin thing. They were scared for a second, and then
The
they
little
were
one's
able
like
to,
nothing's gonna kill me.
yeah, screaming and laughing about it. Yeah, like they're working through things that a lot of kids are like if any other kid would have went into that room and saw those gremlins, they'd have been scared for the rest of their lives. And those kids were like, this is nothing. I'm gonna get through this. Like, let's have
Yeah.
fun with this. And if I look at it like that, which is the way I should have, yeah, I'm giving this a hell of a lot higher rating than I, I actually did. But yeah, I was hypercritical of things that I shouldn't have been hypercritical of. I didn't look at this as a movie for who knows what reason.
It makes sense. It's because like we do see things in our kind of like our point of view and our
Yeah.
lens and stuff, and so it's like you're often like asking questions while you're watching the movie, but in terms of like negatives for myself, it's like yeah, there's sometimes where it's like I wish the Totoro could have been in the movie more often and
Yeah,
stuff, or
don't
like
have
a
his name in
different
the title
different.
and barely have him in the movie.
Yeah, so it's like it does kind of like, because you have like the whole aspects that it's like whimsy and and it's magical, like especially when they're like growing the tree and stuff and like all this,
Yeah.
but like yeah, and so it's like stuff like that where, but I don't find anything that was like overtly like bad in terms of my mind, where it's like I'm trying to think of my head where it's like it sucks because I'm kind of clouded of like I enjoyed it so much, or so
Hmm.
it's like I'm trying to like, all right, like what would I, the beginning, yeah, it's like the like, but it's like a little song and they're all like dancing around. It kind of reminded me of how like Pixar opens, where like their like little lamp does
Oh,
something
and he
and then
does his hop. Yeah.
it almost kind of starts the mood and
Yeah.
sets the tone for like the rest of the movie and different things like that. But and granted, it's like yes, it's like it is a very child like liked movie and stuff, and so it's like this is like probably one of the early Pixar movies if you want to kind of comparison,
Mm,
where it's like you can look at the newer Pixar movies and the newer Disney movies, and they kind of have elevated them to be enjoyed by like all age
everybody.
levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Toy Story was primarily only pretty made for children and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so you have like things or like Winnie the Pooh or like stuff like that, like the actual like fairy tale stories. And I think this matches this. This may be like a fairy tale story that they told in Japan. It could be. That's
Hmm.
it's kind of unique because if it is like a culturally kind of like connected movie to Japan, where it's like this is a story that they used to like tell children. Like when I was a kid, I only like heard about the horror, like the ghost stories and stuff, like the things you don't want to, like the bump in the night and everything.
Or
But this
Humpty
seems like a
Dumpty.
very whimsical story to be telling children like all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think that's like it's difficult for me to find something that's like negative for this because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. Like for me, the only negative was what I had touched on. Like other than that, I have no negatives for that film. So yeah, my rating does not reflect that, which is
I don't know, but it's
because my
like,
state of
but
mind at
yeah,
the time.
we've talked about that where it's like it's sort of, you kind of have to like, if you have to be prepared to kind of wipe your mind of like everything
Yeah.
that's kind of going on around you, because it's
Yeah.
like it's the whole point of these movies too. It's like you're supposed to like go into the movie and be like, I want to be transported to a different world, and the bad movies are the ones that don't do that for you,
Oh yeah.
and they just like don't take you away from like the crap that you have to deal with on a regular basis, where some movies do, and that's the whole point of them and everything, to like be a screen into a whole different world.
Yeah.
And I think this one did it. This one definitely did it for me.
This one did it for me. I just didn't fully immerse myself in it because I was, yeah, like I said, I was hypercritical of things I shouldn't have been hypercritical for because it's a movie.
What'd you end up rating it?
uh, 2.5,
Two
but
and a
I'm gonna
half.
bump it to a 3. I'm leaving it. It's gonna be a 3.
So I give it a 5. So I was like, immediately, Patty, when we ended the movie, Patty was like, "That's a 5," and
Oh man.
I was like, I'm gonna agree with you
Hmm.
because I was like, I really enjoyed this movie. This is like, it took me to a different place,
Yeah.
and it's a different kind of like emotional kind of like connection that you have, like where like The Godfather, which is another 5 for me, that kind of like involved you. You're like almost part of the family of like
Oh, the
this whole like,
Corleone family. Yeah.
yeah, this organization, and you're like watching this like guy kind of go through this whole aspect of like learning that like he has to be this different person,
Hmm.
or what he actually was before,
He has
but
to
he
become
tried
himself.
to
Yeah.
create a different person to like go
Hmm.
away from that. But different conversation, where this kind of like had me kind of like have the same connections and emotions and stuff, and you you had fun throughout the whole movie. Like the pacing's good,
Hmm.
the story's good, like the overtly no one dies and stuff, which I was like,
Which is
I thought
cool.
I
Yeah.
thought the dad was gonna die when he was late for the bus and
No,
everything.
I
I
thought the
was
mom
like,
had passed away, and that's why the
yeah.
dad was late. Like, how am I gonna break this to my kids? That's where my mind went.
So it's like a traditional, like, good story throughout.
Yeah,
It's just the one thing that the mom's sick and everything, but
yeah.
that happens.
The mom was ready to go home though. She's like, "Get me
Yeah.
out of here."
But that's why it's like I think I feel like I connected with this one a little bit,
Hmm.
in terms of like I could probably see if I watch it again, maybe like a 4.5.
Mm.
But my first watching would be a 5. Would you recommend this movie?
Oh yeah. Like
Who
as
would you
bad as
recommend it
as bad as I talked about
to?
this, like I only had like 2 dislikes, and that was because of where my head was at. But I would recommend this to any parent, honestly, or just yeah, a parent for sure, because I can see them like watching this with their kid and having that enjoyment.
Mhm.
And then outside of that, just anybody that likes films and wants an animated film to check out, like I would recommend it to them also.
Yeah, I think I would recommend it to anybody that said like, "Oh, Toy Story was my favorite like kids movie back then."
Mm,
Where it's like, "Oh, this one is like sort of like your imaginary friend comes and helps and everything."
yeah,
And yeah, anybody that has children, it's like I think this would be a good time to kind of like watch with your children, or just in general. I don't know. I think about my little brother and his girlfriend and stuff, and like I think they would enjoy just sitting there and watching it and stuff. And
hmm,
he kind of likes anime, or he's into anime and stuff. And so this is not, it's anime,
traditional,
but
yeah.
it's not anime and stuff. I think
Yeah.
there's like, I don't know, maybe there's like an argument there. But would you buy it? Would you buy it for your? I think this one like will stick out like a sore thumb, where it's like it's like
Got all
Die
this
Hard,
dark.
Godfather, and then
It's just this bright and shiny one. No, but you can put it next to Akira. Like,
yeah, I guess so.
just put those off to the
Yeah, watch
side.
Akira first, and then watch My Neighbor Totoro.
I would buy it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. This is one that I can see myself watching again and enjoying more because I'm going to go into it fresh, like a clear mind, and not like how I did when I watched it yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you were to like have like a little section of like anime or like animated movies, this was definitely has to be like one of them in there. If you're
Yeah.
buying a movie collection of like, all right, this is where I kind of have this. The one thing I would recommend is that, and to you, Kai, when you watch it again, or if you watch it again, is
Hmm.
watching the Japanese version.
Oh yeah, for
Because I
sure.
think it's like a different tone.
Hmm.
And so I was kind of glad that I did watch the Japanese version. And I think that changes kind of like the the whole like impact of the movie a little bit.
Hmm.
You do have to read,
That's okay. I had to do that all last month. It's okay.
but yeah, that's like my only recommendation. I would recommend it if you're gonna watch it in the Japanese, which
I
is
might
on
have to do that.
it's
Yeah,
on Max. So if you have
yeah.
that Max stuff, they're both there, and so you
And
can
it's a
have.
short watch
Yeah, it's
too.
an hour and a half too. So
Yeah.
it's like I thought it was gonna be like 2 hours, 2.5 hours,
Honestly,
but
yes.
I was glad.
That actually put a smile on my face when I saw it was only an hour and a half.
I
Because
know.
like I had clicked it and I was like, this is gonna be 2 hours, and I saw an hour like 28, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. I watched this, and then I watched a little Dragon Ball and stuff. All right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one.